Welcome to my channel. From time to time, I seek out intellectual discussions on YouTube. And this is one that I want to bring to you. But before I do that, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to my channel, for watching my videos, for liking them, for commenting on them, for sharing them. And I especially want to thank all of you who have subscribed to my channel. You have no idea how much I appreciate your following me. I'm amazed by it. I'm stunned that this many people want to see what I have to say. But as long as I'm having people follow me and subscribing to my channel, I'm going to keep talking. So without further ado, let's take a look at this. These are two gentlemen who are professors at universities. The one on the left is named Glen Loury, and the one on the right is named John McWorter. Glenn has a show that he does periodically where he frequently interacts with John McWorter, and they discuss issues that are current events, topics that are of interest to them, issues of race and those sorts of things. But they're both extremely intelligent men, obviously, or they wouldn't be professors at major universities. And they have a very intellectual approach. They take a very intellectual approach to the topics that they discuss. In this video, they're talking about a new documentary that has come out called The Fall of Minneapolis. It's a documentary telling the story of George Floyd and how he was not killed by the police officers. And these two gentlemen are discussing that, and I want you to hear just a little brief part of it. I'll put the links in the description below so that you can go watch them for yourself. This is a typical show, so it's about 50 minutes long.
I don't think, unless this is faked, here we are in the age of AI, we have to allow that just maybe. But unless that body cam footage is faked, Derek Chauvin didn't kill that man. I never thought I'd be saying that. But it appears to be true. Are we missing anything?
Do you remember Shelby Steele's film about Ferguson, Eli and Shelby, his son, Eli Steele, the filmmaker, and Shelby Steele, the writer? I think they called it What Killed Michael Brown. And in it, Steele introduces this concept. I think he calls it virtually true. It was, true in effect. A narrative that is so in coordination with a sentiment that's widely held in the public that people want to believe that it's true because it provides additional evidence to what they've been telling you all along is the case about this country and about the lives of Black people in this country. Becomes unassailable. It becomes, in effect, true. It is, a virtual truth. Poetic, that was his phrase, a poetic truth. I just love that phrase. And this is back to this question of whether or not you can actually say that Chauvin didn't kill George Floyd, because, think what that entails. That means all that rioting, looting, and burning, all of that civil disorder that has had and will continue to have political ramifications echoing down across the years. What was that for? Or what about imprisoning those police officers? For crying out loud, Derek Chauvin is locked away for a lifetime. And the other cops also got jail time too. One of them is Black.
That's another thing. The one who's Keung, and so you think he's Vietnamese or something? He's Black. Yeah.
Right. And a veteran police officer who worked in the academy training other police officers said that he was probably the best recruit that he had seen in a quarter century of service, just as an aside. But they were and are being punished unjustly if indeed you conclude, as you have just done, that Floyd wasn't murdered out there. What about that? What about fueling a false narrative? What about giving further credence to a way of thinking about yourself within your country that is untrue to the reality of your condition? The cost here is inestimable. You know,
Glenn, also, if you want to push it, if you think about what happened in the first half of 2020, also the whole racial reckoning and the grievous excesses that it's led to that make people write books like Woke Racism, etc. I mean, frankly, we have to do it. We have to say it, and then we're going to move quickly on. The elevation of Ibram Kendi really was sparked in large part by George Floyd. He was known before that, but him being a phenom whose counsel is attended to by people cowering in their boots at becoming amoral people if they don't follow it, that happens in the wake of George Floyd, and it was a lie. It was a lie. I mean, unless we're talking about AI creating that footage. I am still trying to grapple with the meaning of this. And so what it comes down to is George Floyd, he had serious heart disease. He wasn't an old man, but he had serious heart disease, untreated. He had serious atherosclerosis, untreated. He was very high on both fentanyl and meth, which is a lethal combination. Very high on them, probably taking more while he was in the car to hide it from the cops. He opens his mouth in the footage and you see he's got something on his tongue. It's not a chiclet. He's really, really high. He had COVID. He tested positively for COVID then. He had COVID. He smoked. He's a very sick man. And then all of this happens. He's frankly out of his mind because of all of this. He couldn't help it, but he was. And, he was upset. He was agitated. And that, his heartbeat probably, pumping harder. Now I'm going into a medical expertise I don't have, but he was very agitated at being detained by the cops. And remember, they had a reason for detaining him. He was trying to pass counterfeit money. They were detaining him. And it got worse and worse. He couldn't understand that he needed to just calm down, despite being told to by his friends. Just, stop resisting, Floyd, one of his friends said. And so it got the best of him and his heart stopped. But it wasn't because he was asphyxiated. And the other thing is, there was no evidence in the autopsy report, which has not been shared with us until now. Not the autopsy report that was suggested by George Floyd's relatives, but the first one. There was no evidence of asphyxiation of any kind. Not physical, not subtler things that most of us don't understand. No evidence. Now, Glenn, I don't know. I've looked this up and I can't find.
I'm not going to continue this because you can do that yourself, obviously. You don't need to be lectured by me. But they go on to discuss the issues of race in America and what the impact of these sorts of things are. If you're as old as I am, you remember when a young boy named Emmett Till was murdered in the South for flirting with a white woman. It was an outrage, and it outraged the country. Some of the current black leaders, politicians, have compared the deaths of George Floyd and Michael Brown in St. Louis and Trayvon Martin in Florida to Emmett Till, which if I was Emmett Till's mother, I would be outraged by that, because Emmett Till was a young, innocent black child who was murdered for simply flirting, if he actually did flirt with a white woman. But Trayvon Martin was killed because he was trying to kill another man, and that man was found not guilty at trial. And Michael Brown was killed because he attacked a police officer, tried to get his gun away from him, and then charged him like a bull And George Floyd died not because the police killed him, but because he was so sick and so high that his body could no longer take it, and he expired. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can now go to Rumble and you can watch this documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. You will get to see body cam footage from the police. You'll get to see that exculpatory evidence was withheld from the defense at trial, which is a Brady violation, which is illegal in our country and should immediately get new trials for all the police officers involved, including Derek Chauvin. You'll get to see all of that and more. And if you're an honest person and you look at this video, you will realize, as both Glen and his friend John have recognized, you've been lied to. And as long as we continue to allow these false narratives to be brought to us and we continue to believe them, and we don't fight against them, we're just going to continue going down this rat hole until the country is destroyed. It's a lot to think about. I'll leave you with the links in the description. You can do the research yourself if you're interested. If you're not, as you know, you're probably like 80% of the American people, you just don't want to know the truth. But if you're my viewers, I think you do want to know the truth, and that's the reason why I keep bringing it to you. And I pray that you will be abundant and that you'll live a long life and that you'll be healthy and that God will keep you safe from harm. I pray that He will do the same for every single person that you love. And I pray that you will be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, you will make your requests known to God. And the peace that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. This is the Vietnam Era Vet out.